let's talk about Champions League draw reaction. I know we're a day late here, but it is what it is. I will say, like, I was on a plane during the whole thing. So I just saw that we drew PSG. I didn't know anything about what happened beforehand, that there was a redraw, that there was, confusion and technical difficulties and people were upset. And I didn't know any of that. I just saw that we drew PSG. So my mind was like, okay, honestly, I don't mind it. I don't hate it. It is weird to me, the fact that, we're bringing back Ramos, assuming he plays and he's healthy. And that part is still going to be weird to me, like, no matter what. But from just watching PSG this season and the tactical level that they're at, their struggles defensively, and their Pochettino's struggles to get the front three to buy into some kind of defensive scheme. Given all that, I'm okay with it. I'm not saying that, Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, no matter how you spin it, you can have a tactical, just like, it's just one big tactical giant mess, and you have those three on the field, they might be able to transcend at any moment and score goals against you. So I'm not going to say I was excited for PSG, but I don't hate it. So what was your reaction to that? And feel free to start with the part where we drew Benfica first if you wanted
to. Yeah, I mean, it was just like a kind of come on. Like you see the news come through and you're just like, oh, come on, is this really seriously happening? And so it was kind of just a wait and see. All right, are we really going to go through this whole thing all over again? And sure enough, even after some reports said that Real Madrid Benfica might just stay as it was, they still opted to redraw everything. So it is what it is. Like it's fine. I'm kind of with you. I think PSG they've been a mess. And I've watched a good amount of their games, and they really are a mess. And as long as they don't figure it out, my only worry is that there's 2 months really between now and then, and we know how things can change very quickly in football. And so as long as they don't start figuring things out and Ramos gets fit, like Ramos, the one game he did play was actually really, really good. I watched that game, and he was good. So we'll see if he's fit. And I mean, these big games, I think stars, Neymar, Messi, Mbappe will be willing to sacrifice a little bit more than they do in normal games. I'm not saying they're going to be like elite track. They're all of a sudden going to be elite at tracking back and stuff like that.
It's a fair point.
But yeah, I do think they'll be willing to sacrifice a little bit more than they normally do. So it'll be a good one. I mean, knock on wood, I give the edge to Real Madrid. I do think we're the better team at this point. There's just too many imbalances in that squad. But it's surely an interesting one. There's so many narratives. Obviously, Sergio Ramos coming back, Kylian Mbappe, Achraf Hakimi. You could go down the list, Di Maria, Navas. But I think it'll be interesting to see the reaction of the Santiago Bernabeu to Ramos. I really hope that he gets the standing ovation he deserves and just like a nice send off and a nice moment, because he does deserve that, regardless of like how the contract talks went or whatever. Even if he didn't leave on the best terms for some people, like he is the greatest defender in this club's history. He is a legend. He is the man of La Decima. Like he deserves all our love and respect. And so I really, really hope he gets that.
I 100% agree with you. I am nodding my head vehemently in agreement. But I am curious, because I have seen people ask, what type of reception do you think he will get? And in my mind, my initial reaction to that is, he's the greatest defender in club history. Of course, he gets all the warm love you get. But I wonder why people ask that, and I wonder, like, is it because maybe could he have done more to have stayed? When he was saying, there was they missed the deadline or something like that. I mean, part of the reason he missed the deadline was because he didn't put pen to paper then. He waited to see if he could get a better offer, and then he realized it was too late. No other offers were going to be on the table meeting what he wanted. Then he had to scramble, and and he just he went to PSG. It is what it is. We discussed it. I wonder if that will enter the mind of anyone. But this Diego brought up an interesting. I don't even know where he got this from. I don't know. So, but he just made me think and this is not published yet. We recorded it this morning. But he was like, maybe you would know because you're a Beckham fanboy. He said something like when Beckham went to Manchester United with one of his other teams that he played for. I don't know if it was Real Madrid or Milan or PSG. That they gave him a really warm reception before the game, but then when the game started, they started to boo his touches. And I thought, well, look, that's interesting because on one hand, you give him all the love, but on the other hand, you want him still to lose against you. You don't want to give him confidence. You want it. It's cool. It's fine to throw him off the game. But anyway, do you think there's any chance that we actually give him anything other than, just massive love?
I think there is a chance. I mean, knowing Santiago Bernabeu and just knowing some fans, I think there is a chance. Which I'm disappointed about. I'd rather he get the love he deserves. And yes,
I can't picture it still.
We've gone over a million.
Even knowing the Bernabeu, it's hard for me to picture that. I'm imagining myself sitting in the stadium as we speak, and they announce the PSG lineup. They do that thing where one by one they announce their names. They boo everyone. They'll boo the hell out of Messi. They'll boo Di Maria. They'll probably cheer Mbappe, and they'll probably cheer Ramos. Is my guess. I can't picture anything else.
The question now has been, if let's say Ramos does get cheered, does Mbappe get a bigger applause than Ramos just because of everything that's gone on? That's one of the questions I saw pop up.
I'd be okay with that, I guess. I mean, I don't know. That'd be funny. Ramos will get announced first because I think they start from the defensive line. From what I remember, maybe it's based on shirt number. Yeah. I don't know, but
he'll still be first.
Yeah, he'll still be first either way. That'll be interesting. Is there anything else from just a tactical level? I mean, it's really early now. It's not even January. I mean, we're going to be watching PSG also from now on then, just track their progress and stuff. But any particular things you like or dislike about this matchup?
I like Vinicius versus Ashraf in exploiting that space if Ashraf does go forward. Honestly, I'll take the Mendy Vinicius left side versus the Ashraf Messi right side, if that's what it ends up being. I know Messi has played kind of centrally sometimes, but if that's what it ends up being, I think I'd take those two over the other two. I just think Vinicius and Mendy can exploit their weaknesses more than the other two can exploit Mendy and Vinicius. So from that perspective, and then I just think our midfield is way more balanced, and if these guys can keep the form that they're on, then no one can touch them. And I don't think that PSG midfield, even if Verratti's fit, can touch them.
That's an interesting point. So a lot of the common things you'll hear about this PSG team and the initial reactions, okay, well, there's a front three don't defend. And so they'll play maybe a deeper block and they'll hit those three on the counter, which I don't think is untrue. I actually think that is something that, you point out right away as one of the obvious things. But, so on one hand, I think about all the heroics of Militao defensively and how alert he'll need to be, how Casemiro will have to be really stationed, positionally disciplined, which he has been this season, to make sure that, we limit those transition opportunities. On the other hand, I don't think Carlo will be that interested in trying to dominate the ball and hold a high line. I think he'll also try to play quite deep and compact and let PSG play a little bit because he knows, if the front three aren't going to press as much and given the fact that our strengths are Vinicius on the wings and, if someone like Rodrigo can get going on the opposite wing, if that is our strength is feeding Vinicius, then in that case, facing PSG is kind of a dream in that sense because you're not going to get tracking on that side from Messi. And in a lot of ways, Atletico is a nightmare matchup in that sense because they do so much to cover on the wings. And they did that. I didn't get a chance to talk to you about the Atleti game, but one of the things that stood out to me was how well Llorente defended Vinicius, but not only that, they just plugged the wing with Rodrigo de Paul, Angel Correa. They were sending help, multiple help. They weren't leaving the wing exposed, and that's the type of team that's going to be hard to break down for Real Madrid. They were able to do that, but against PSG, I don't think PSG will limit space the way Atletico did, for example. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think in that game, what Vinicius did really well was like, yes, maybe Marcos Llorente is a guy that can come close to matching him on an athletic level, but Vinicius would just go to the opposite side and provide overloads, or Asensio would come to the left side and provide overloads, and that worked really well. I mean, we saw it on the first goal when Vinicius went to the right, provided an overload, Asensio feeds him, and he hits Benzema in the box. So even if it's not, he's become such an intelligent player that like he knows how to move. Like even if he's not having success on one wing, he can create havoc and chaos through the central or even on the right wing. So, yeah, I mean, as the key for us is honestly just avoid injuries and try and sustain the form we're on. If we can do that, I think we'll be in a really good place heading into that tie. I just always get worried about the break, the 2 months between, because so much can happen.
It can be literally a different narrative season altogether.
Yeah,
by
completely.
then, I mean,
Yep.
and yeah, we just don't know. We also have to play that damn Super Cup in January, which it's against. We have a game against Barca in January. It's just like, yeah.
God.
Anyways, so yeah, it's going to be fascinating. There's going to be so much more to say about this tie. So much more analysis to come. You know, we're going to talk to some of our PSG friends. We're going to watch some PSG games. And I'm sure we'll have new fresh takes after this. But that was just kind of the initial reaction.